Hey y'all, popping in real quick. I'm so excited to share with y'all one of my new favorite podcasts to listen to. Therapy Tea podcast is all about the varied experiences of mental health professionals and specifically the things they wish they had known before getting into this field. Therapy Tea is hosted by Jasmine and Karen, both LPCs like me, and they interview fellow counselors to discuss all the ways that we are constantly learning and adjusting as professionals in the mental health field. What I love about Therapy Tea is how honest, candid, and really funny the conversations are every single time. While I'm listening, I can't help but constantly be nodding my head and feeling validated about my own experiences professionally. Listen, they don't shy away from telling it like it is. Therapy Tea is the perfect podcast for anyone working in the mental health field right now, and especially for anyone considering getting into it. Karen and Jasmine focus on making the reality of what it's like to work in this field more accessible and relatable, and significantly less mysterious. Therapy Tea podcast publishes new episodes every other Wednesday, and you can find them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or anywhere you get your podcasts. And I had the pleasure of being on their show where I was able to talk about my not so traditional way of getting into this field. And man, let me tell you, it was just a joy to talk with Jasmine and Karen and to be able to share my story. I'm so thankful for the work that they're doing. And I really, really think that this podcast is so helpful, especially for those in the mental health field, to feel less alone. So y'all go check it out. Subscribe to their feed, Therapy Tea podcast. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. There, and welcome to the Couch Next Door, where a happy hour meets a therapy session. I'm your host, Candace Frazier, a licensed professional counselor. Each week, I'm honored to have a friend come sit on my couch, and we'll dive into an area of mental health that is impacting their world. We'll definitely laugh, probably cry, and maybe go on a rant or two, because we are all humans, full of emotions. Come hang out with us. Hey there, we've got a very special episode today. But before we dive in, I want to make sure you all know that you can listen or even watch my conversations over on YouTube now. So if YouTube is your preferred choice to digest media content, be sure to subscribe to the Couch Next Door over there so you don't miss an episode. All right, today's episode is going to be a little bit different. We're diving into Adolescence. This is a Netflix limited series that, while not based on a specific true story, holds a lot of truth. And that's exactly what we're unpacking today. This series was released in March of 2025, and it recently has been awarded several Emmys due to the work of the cast and crew. In my opinion, across the board, it was incredibly well done. Not only did it win awards, but it really hit home when I think about my professional experience in the world of working with adolescents and mental health. Before we go any further, I want to give a little bit of a heads up. There will be spoilers. So if you haven't watched the series yet and want to experience it firsthand, I recommend hitting pause on this episode, watch the show, and then come back to join us. Also, please be aware that this series is very intense and includes several trigger warnings, particularly around violence, trauma, and adolescent mental health. To help explore the depth of this show, I invited my good friend and fellow therapist, Ruth Clark, to join me for a debrief. Together, we're looking at how adolescence mirrors some of the very real issues we've seen in our work with teens, families, and communities. So, just to give a little bit of a backstory, the series follows a story of a 13-year-old boy named Jamie. He's arrested for the murder of a classmate. Over 4 gripping episodes, Adolescence pulls back the curtain on how a single tragic event sends shockwaves through Jamie's world, his family, his peers, the professionals involved, and the larger community around him. One character that stands out is Detective Bascom, whose personal connection to the case adds another powerful layer to the narrative. And you'll hear Ruth and I talk about him a little bit in this episode. What stood out to Ruth and me is just how familiar these dynamics felt, not just in theory, but in real life cases and clients that we've worked with over the years. While this is a fictional story, the emotional and psychological truths it presents are so real, so very real. I wanted to bring this series into the podcast because I believe media, whether rooted in fact or fiction, is increasingly telling mental health stories that resonate deeply. And sometimes they spark conversations that need to happen. So that's what Ruth and I are doing here today. So in this episode, we'll reflect on the show, discuss its impacts, and talk about what it reveals about the adolescent experience today. I used the word normal several times in this episode, and I don't really like that word or really believe it holds any weight, but this depiction of a family in crisis is so relatable. So I guess when I use that word, that's what I was trying to say. There were so many moments in watching this series that felt relatable and places I could see myself in certain scenes, which I think again made it so impactful not only to myself and pop culture, but also our society that consumed it. My hope is that it helps you lean into empathy from all sides of the story and maybe even see how these fictional portrayals shine a light on real life concerns. All right, y'all, let's get into it. Here's my conversation with Ruth. Okay, Ruth Clark. Welcome to the couch next door. I'm so excited. I've been trying so hard to get you on the show, and it's finally happening. So I'm super pumped.
Well, I'm sorry that my life is chaotic, but I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah. I mean, it really is just like us figuring out scheduling and all the things. Yeah, for sure. For sure. You have a very full life. So tell us a little bit about you. Like, what do we need to know Ruth?
Oh, gosh, that's a loaded question. The general overview, I guess, is I'm a mom, a stepmom, a wife, a daughter, and all the things, and sister, therapist, yada, 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 chaos coordinator. I have 4 kids. 2, my stepdaughters are 21 as of this week and 15. And then my 2 bio kids, Gus is 8, and then the little one is 5. And 3 girls and a boy. So that's fun. And then, I mean, for work, I was with the school district for a while, I think, which is what prompted this conversation. But have since returned to, I guess, my corporate life of therapy as the director of outpatient for a local behavioral health hospital. So, very fun, but very entrenched in all things mental health.
Yeah.
So,
yes. Yeah. Well, and yeah, one of the reasons I wanted you to be a part of this particular episode in this conversation is because of the environments in which you have worked in are very adjacent to the show and like the environments that are captured in the show. And so, you know, kind of hearing your real life experiences in those various areas, I think will give us kind of some insight as to like how real it is, how real life the depiction of this whole story is and was. And so, so I think you were the perfect person. So what do you do now? What do you do now in the outpatient space? Like what's your primary? Because I know you've like done several different things in that realm.
Right. In the hospital world, I did, previously I was the director of quality and risk, which is all data. And as a therapist, I did it for 6 years and it was fun. It was something different. It was something completely, like stretching. But data doesn't have feelings. And I realized I needed something, like I needed to get back to that. And so I, then went to the school district for a while, but then when they reached back out to me to come back to the hospital as director of outpatient, now I oversee, our 3 outpatient clinics. And so partial hospitalization programs, IOP, the intensive outpatient programs. One of them is adults only. And then one in Killeen is adults only, but it's also houses our Help for Heroes program for outpatient. for first responders, active duty veterans, frontline workers kind of thing. And then our other location in Cedar Park is for adolescents. And so 11 to 17-year-olds typically.
You oversee all of that?
I do. Yes. I know. Wow. They trust me to do that.
That is a lot. Oh my gosh, Ruth. Okay. Well, what does that even mean? What does that mean to oversee all of that?
Well, thankfully I have two amazing managers, one at the Cedar Park location and one at clinical managers. So one at Cedar Park and one in Killeen. And then I kind of act as the manager / director over Georgetown and then the other two locations. And so my day-to-day is anything from, just kind of being a point person to bounce things off of in terms of different cases. Obviously writing lots of reports at the corporate level, but then kind of fielding different referrals that are coming our way, doing some growth and development for the staff, visiting our other campuses to kind of fill any holes or, answer any questions or whatever everybody needs. It's kind of, obviously lots of meetings and blah, blah, blah with the corporate end of things, but also a lot of I also get to interact with the patients a good bit and just leading and developing staff is, a passion. And so I really, really enjoy it. It's a lot and there's, days can be hard, but also just super rewarding, so, and I have the teams at each location are phenomenal. And so I could not ask for a better stuff, that could make or break things.
Oh yeah. When you work in a setting like that, absolutely. If you don't have good people to work with, people that you can trust, you can't survive. I don't know how anybody survives is probably what I should say, because that would make it even harder.
Well, there's that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us what you did when you were within the school system. You were a school counselor, right? But on the mental health side, not like the scheduling side. Yeah.
So I worked very closely with the school counselors, but there's a team, at least here in GISD, of school-based therapists. And so I was the lead therapist. We were a team of 6 last year, and most everybody was on 2 campuses. Most of the team was on 2 campuses. I was based on one campus, one middle school. And so, of course, this show was like, yes, I see that. I know that. I've heard that, but, which I think you either love or hate middle school, and middle school is probably the worst time in a, developing person's life. And, it's just really, I love the like kind of self-discovery. Who am I? I still want to be my daddy's girl, but I also want to have my own identity and my own opinions and my own thoughts. And I want to dabble in things. I want to question things. And so, it's just a really neat age. And I think an age when people really, kids really need a sounding board and really need some connection. And so, anyway, so my role, was to work closely with the school counselors in terms of identifying kiddos who might need some extra support, running different groups depending on what the need was. I ran a girls' identity group for 7th and 8th graders. That was a lot of fun. And just kind of being whatever we did. Our team also does responsive work. So, any crisis intervention, postvention, unfortunately, on different campuses. But just kind of there to support the counseling team, however we can. Yeah.
Okay, great. So this is why you're our girl. So yeah, all the things, the behind the scenes, because I feel like I worked a lot in juvenile justice when I was getting my hours and in kind of post-grad, all the things. And I absolutely love that work. I love that population. If I could make a living and I didn't feel, or my husband didn't feel that I was unsafe. I never really felt unsafe, but he was like, where are you? How late are you going to be there?
What is happening?
Yeah. Why are you on that side of town? Then I would still be doing it. I just absolutely loved it so much. And so, watching this show, and that was, God, so long ago. I feel like that was another lifetime ago, but seeing this, and still seeing some of that world depicted in this show, Adolescence, it's just was like sparked that part of my career again, and just kind of seeing that side of things that was played out in like present day. So interesting. Yeah. So many dynamics to dive into. So before we do that, I want to hear your rant though. What's your rant?
Oh gosh.
So we can get to know
I think the first thing that popped to my mind was just, like the idea of negativity versus curiosity. And I think it's, myself included, I'm certainly not excluding myself from this rant, but we all just been towards the negative, right? We all been towards what's not going to work, what hasn't worked, why it won't work, why this, this person isn't right for XYZ, but, I've just really tried to do a lot of digging more recently, myself individually with my teams, with, even with, we did something with the school counselors last year around the idea of curiosity and just approaching things with questions rather than opinions. And, that's the nature of what we do, right? Is our job is to ask questions like, where did this anxiety come from? What, what caused this depression that you're feeling? Where, what happened to you when you were younger? What, and I just love stories. I think all of us as therapists just love hearing people's stories. It's a huge piece of why we do what we do. Right.
Yeah.
And I think it just gets to me, and I catch myself a lot going, oh, you're doing the thing you hate, but like, just, meeting someone and making an assumption, or just going straight to, no, that would never work. Or, talking to my own kids, like, oh, that's dumb. Why would that work? Well, like, let's poke holes in it. Let's ask questions about it. Let's, oh, that person is just a jerk. Well, I wonder what that person goes home to, like, I wonder, my kids and I had that conversation this week around some difficult friends in class. And, like the conversation started with, they're just so rude. They're just so mean. They're just like, all they want to do is disobey and not listen. And, but then as we took a few steps back and like, well, I wonder what their home life is like. I wonder, I wonder where they live. I wonder, do they live at home with mom and dad? Do they, and being able to kind of start asking those questions, and even them kind of going, I do think, and them kind of landing on their own, like their life does look a lot different than mine. And it's like, yeah. So I can imagine that maybe things are a little bit harder for them, in a lot of ways. And, so, yeah. And I run into it with my teams sometimes in terms of, oh, this isn't going to work. This is just not going to work. Well, why isn't it going to work? Like, well, this person's just not going to be a good fit. Well, but why?
Why?
Like, and, so, but I wonder if, I did, and just realizing that like, we've all had a lot of chances, and so like, we all get a lot of new opportunities. And so, I think giving everybody else some grace and some room to not have it all together. And, but in just kind of every facet of life, I catch myself where I catch myself getting frustrated with this whole concept of just like assumptions and opinions versus the idea of just getting curious.
Well, and I think it takes like a pause, right? Like just even pausing and reframing it with, I wonder if, like, if we can start our thought process with, I wonder if, we're already coming to the table with curiosity rather than, well, I can't believe, right? It's even just like the language, just commit to using that wording and you're already geared towards curiosity rather than negativity. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good. I like that. I like that a lot.
Well, thanks. I mean, I mean, I tell some of my team members too, like they'll check me like, well, I mean, wait a minute. Have you thought about, and like, thank you. We all need that. And it's that accountability and just kind of like realigning, like, wait, let's go back to the questions. So,
yeah. Well, and even, I mean, kind of like what you're saying, if you're falling into that pattern of negativity, noticing that, right? Like what is happening for me when I'm trapped in negativity? And what you're telling us right now is you can just shift that in this sort of tiny little way.
Right.
And it changes how you're approaching things.
Right.
Yeah. Because assumptions aren't great. Like they're not great for anybody. Our mental health, somebody else. Right. They're not great.
Right.
Yeah. Well, good. I love that. What a great little rant. This is such a mental health rant though, right?
I know.
Rant. Be curious, not negative, people.
I know.
I love it.
I mean, I could probably rant on a lot of things, but that would be pointless and not helpful for anyone.
Me too. But today, this is a helpful rant. Everybody be curious, less negative, more curiosity. Okay. All right. We are here to talk about adolescence. So this show, God, when did the show come out? I don't even know. Last year? I don't know. I probably should look that up. But
probably last year, I think. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched it, we will be spoiling things. So it is about a family and their world being turned upside down because their 13-year-old son has been arrested for murdering another student in the school. So that is the premise. That is online. I'm not ruining anything for you people that haven't seen it. But this whole show is a 4-episode, series walking through what that whole situation is looking like for the kid that was arrested, for the family, for the students that are at school. I mean, it takes layers upon layers to see like how this is impacting everybody like in that circle. And so it won Emmys. It won several Emmys. The kid won an Emmy. The psychologist won an Emmy. The dad won an Emmy. I mean, so like
as they should. It was so good.
Yes. Yeah. So good. And so when I watched this, I thought of Ruth first, and I was like, "Have you watched this show?" And she was like, "No, it's on my list. I'm going to watch it now." And so I know I watched it not thinking, like I didn't even know really what it was, but I kept seeing people talking about it, other therapists talking about it. I was like, I probably need to watch this. So I watched it one time through, and then when I knew we were going to record the conversation diving into it, I watched it again, but more with like the therapist mind, which I know you texted me and you were like watching it the second time, like, whew, when you look at it even through a different lens, not just as a consumer, but like thinking about it differently, it hits different. It hits different when you think about it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to break it down, talk about like just some of our impressions, what we thought about it, what we saw in it, how it relates to reality. So because it's broken down in 4 episodes, that's how we're gonna process this. So this is like an adolescence debrief, that's what we're doing.
Let's do it. Yes.
Okay. So episode 1 sort of sets the scene of Jamie's arrest. Right. And so that's the whole episode is they enter in the house, they arrest him. So traumatic. Like that was the first thing I was thinking. Traumatic for everybody.
Everyone.
And like thinking about me being on the other side of juvenile justice, like I would see the kids after arrest, like either detained or once they're on probation, like not knowing what that whole process is like. And now I know that what he's accused of is very severe. And so they were a little bit probably, I don't know, maybe not more aggressive than for some, but still like early morning, busting down the doors. What did you think about that? I mean, you agree, traumatic.
Oh gosh,
what kinds of thoughts popped up for you?
Well, I mean, like you said, I'd heard also about this show, but then when you asked me about it, I was like, I guess I should actually watch it. And I mean, the first 10 minutes, I was like, I don't know if I can do this, like as
so intense,
a therapist and then as a mom and thinking through and, like having, thinking through my own kids and then some of my students that I've had, I was like, gosh, this is a lot. And I mean, it did seem really, I wouldn't say disproportionate to the crime, but it's like, could we knock first and see? You know, like if we tried.
Right. See if they'll just open the door. Yeah.
Right. I mean, because it was very.
Well, yeah, because the parents were like, you got the wrong house. They just kept saying, you got the wrong house.
Yeah. Right. I mean, because what parent wouldn't think like, no, what? No. Like,
yes.
Yeah. And but yeah, it did seem very, and I, I know that the, Bascom said later something about, well, this is a really serious offense or really serious crime. And so I get that it felt really big, and it's like, like we didn't try anything else first.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I think that's an interesting point. Like, and is that typical? I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's usually how things go, but considering, the age of the person, of the kid, and the time and the way and all the guns and I don't know, the sister in the bathroom, like, oh, I was just like, oh my gosh, this child now is traumatized.
Yes. Oh gosh, I thought about that so much. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the one, the girl, like the sister was the one I thought about the most, I think, in that episode, because I would have thought like that would have been a client of mine, right? Like now we've got to get services for sister because she's witnessing this thing that's happened.
Right.
In her family.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your perspective of Jamie in that first episode?
I mean, in the first little bit, it's just like, I mean, this is a kid who just wet his pants. I mean, this is a baby. Like, surely this is the wrong house, Yeah. And he just, his little freckle face, his scrawny little body, like he just, it's like he is a baby. And
there's no way this is right.
There's no way he's capable of something this heinous. Yeah. So, I mean, and for the most part through the episode and, up until seeing the video, it was like, wait, that was it. Then it was just kind of obviously a complete shift. And then, as you learn more about him and the dynamics in the family and yada, 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 it starts to make a little bit more sense, but I mean, not sense, but the pieces start to come together.
But you start to see a different, right. The story comes together. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing, like the whole, up until the end of that first episode, that's what I was waiting for them to realize it wasn't him, that it wasn't Jamie,
right?
That he didn't do this, that it was a mistake, or they got the wrong information, or maybe it was one of his friends, and because they were asking him all these questions. So yeah, I mean, pretty much the entirety of that first episode, I didn't think he did it.
The only thing though that threw me with him was, I was kind of imagining like my own kids, and then I was imagining a couple of students and like the only thing that threw me was that there was no point, like he didn't seem like, wait a minute, what is happening? What is happening? Like, where am I going? There wasn't this like genuine confusion. It was true. It was like, you have the wrong person. I didn't do anything. But there wasn't a like, but wait a minute, what is happening? Where are we going? And why are we going there? And what do you think I did? And, it was just, I haven't done anything. And so it was just kind of like, like I feel like obviously shock does different things to different people, but I did kind of wonder at his lack of being completely blindsided and completely, unaware of what was going on.
Yeah. Well, so if you were to think about Jamie, like being a client of yours or, one of the students that you might have seen while you were in the school system, and you think about it on the client side of things, like how do you offer up support for somebody that's gone through what is like this trauma of them being, pulled out of their bed and all the things? Like, I don't know, what is your perspective on being a therapist for somebody that's gone through that?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. I think I would want to, just kind of like not normalize, but just level the moment, and just kind of give let's take a step back. Let's take a breath. Let's reevaluate what's happening. The social services guy in the van just initially seemed super flat and very like non-engaging and non-comforting at all, which I mean, if he had been briefed on what was happening, I imagine he maybe didn't want to comfort him, but at the same time, you know, the whole innocent until proven guilty, like, let's help this kid like regulate, let's help this kid just kind of take a breath and then kind of get into the nitty gritty of things.
No, and I think that's interesting that you just said that, like the social services person that was in the van with him, you know, what his demeanor was and how much of what he knew he was being accused of impacted the support, lack of support, whatever we want to call it, that he was offering up. Because I think about, so whenever I worked at the juvenile justice Gardner Betts in Travis County, the first thing I did in that setting was I would do assessments for people for kids that were detained. And so you get a report and you see what they've been arrested for and like what's happened. And sometimes if they've been there before, like what they've been there before. And so, I mean, I think about, and me being a baby clinician, not even fully licensed yet, like that 100% influenced like what I was walking into, thinking, oh gosh, like this kid is probably going to either be super like disrespectful or not interested in anything that I have to offer or mean. I don't know, like just going into that thinking like what I'm about to see. Sometimes that might have been true, but I mean, a lot of times those kids were just happy to be out of whatever they were in, like their cell, their school, whatever they were in. They were like, oh, thank God. Like, I don't have to be doing that right now. Like, I get to talk to a human that is going to give me space. And so most times than not, they were happy to see me. Even if it was just, we're talking about all of these things that maybe they don't normally want to talk about, but it was like a break. They got a break.
Right. Yeah. It was a breather from,
Yeah. So kind of like what you're talking about, just, could you give this kid just a way to regulate, like just to take a breath, let's center ourselves, like let's, you know, hey, that what you just went through was traumatic. You know, I mean, even like recognizing that it didn't matter what you did, that what just happened was traumatic. And you've probably never been through something like that before. Right. And that must be really hard.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And just even thinking about like the whole, how he was processed and like, you know, I don't know, like just thinking about the whole thing, like that whole episode. Like if that were me as an adult, I would be traumatized.
Right. I mean, I was thinking the same thing, like as he's standing there, you know, talking about cornflakes and I'm like, I don't think I would be able to process much of anything. I think I would be sobbing and like, what are we doing? You know, I mean, obviously, if I knew I had committed the crime, like, right. Might be different if I knew I had done it, but
sure. But still, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think at that age, even
yeah,
I don't know. It's still like I still think about what if this were true life. What was his thought process, right? Like, because he, you know, we later find out that he very much did it. Did he think he was going to get away with it?
I mean, that's what I mean. He had to, right? Like even watching the video, he's like, well, I mean, that wasn't me, or you know, it's like what? I
really was convinced that it must have been one of his friends that he was talking about in the interview. You know, until the dad sees the video, and that theory went out the window.
Right.
Well, anything else about episode 1 that we didn't cover?
Let me think.
Let's see. Talk about?
I think it was also interesting to see how hard it was on Bascom, like how really it really got to him. And you know, you see his dynamics with his son later, but I think just really seeing how he went in, you know, full force and did what he had to do, but then he had to take his own, like that was a lot. Yeah.
Well, and I think they did a good job of showing how it was hard on the other side, right? It was hard on Bascom. It was hard on the detectives. It was hard on the nurse, the attorney. You know, I mean, I think as a whole, seeing all of the people within the detention center, that they were having a hard time grappling with what this kid did and the process of things.
Yeah.
Which I really liked that they showed that side of humanity, that even though
I did too.
They had to do their job, they still had some feelings about it.
Right. They weren't completely desensitized to the whole thing.
Yeah. I think that's important that we see that side of it, because first responders and all the things, like, they are, at the end of the day, are people. And they are affected by this, whether they show that or not. There is an impact to them. The things that they have to see and go through.
I think you made a good point too a second ago around because he said at some point in the interview, I think after the video, he kind of sat there kind of almost stoic and said, it wasn't me. And it's like, that's so profound in a way, because like, obviously, literally it was him, but is it his character? Is it who he knows himself to be? Is it who, and, to say like, but that it wasn't me. It's not what I would normally do. Obviously I did it, but it wasn't me, and so just thinking through that.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, especially I think with anything, there's not one thing that creates your identity, right? But there's definitely things that we do that become a part of us. Yeah.
Right.
No, I think that's good that you pointed that out. I think that's an interesting thing to think about when you even watch this, is for anybody that's done wrong, right? That doesn't make up who you are. It's just a part of who you are, and maybe not a great part, but it's just part of you. Yeah. It's good. Okay. Episode 2. So this is the school episode and the interviews that they do. And this is primarily the 2 detectives. And so Bascom has a kid at this school, which we find out that his son goes to the same school. And so they go to the school and they interview kids that they think were involved, the victim's best friend, and you kind of see the impact of the school system, the impact that it's had on the school and the students. And the one thing that they talked a lot about in this episode is social media, right? And like, they show a little bit about that in the first episode, but they really talk about that a lot in this episode. And so, I don't know, Ruth, what is your point of view with,
on social media?
And working in the middle school, and because you were in the school system before the phone ban. So like,
oh gosh.
Schools had phones, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So like what did you see in like the realm of social media in middle school when all of that was going on?
It's terrifying. Just the way that kids, it is a whole other language. It's a whole other world. It's a whole, other just kind of entity. And kids have multiple accounts so that they can show up as multiple different people. And
their parents have one version, and then they have,
Right.
So their parents follow them on one version, but that's not the only version that they have.
No.
Right.
No.
Yes.
And, just the ability to be anybody you want to be, and to be able to be one person virtually and then one person in real life, is just, it's terrifying. And then the way that, they communicate. it is a whole other language, just like, the son kind of breaks things down for him. Like, it is a whole other language that, to the blind eye, you look at it and you're like, that's weird. Like, what do all these emojis mean? But they very much mean something.
Something. Right.
Yeah.
It's like a secret language.
Right. And, it's like their own Morse code of just kind of what, just the way that they communicate with each other, and what we would see. just kind of like here, she put, this pill and this whatever emoji. And it's like, that's random. She just kind of started clicking emojis,
Right.
It's like, no, those were very intentional. It's just so scary. And I think the lack of parental involvement. I'm old. Like, I didn't have a cell phone until probably later in high school, and it was like a Zach Morris phone. Like, we didn't have social media.
It had to be plugged into my car. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You had that long, anyway. So I think the naivety of parents thinking like, I mean, my kids, but my kids, it's like, no, your kids are doing the same thing. Right. My kids would. No. My kids aren't falling into those rabbit holes. Like, no, they are. And, and I think also parents just being afraid to, let me see your phone. Like, parents are like, I don't want to infringe, I don't want to be the helicopter parent.
Them to have their privacy.
Right. They need their privacy. And it's
no, they don't.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I've done an episode on like digital health. And so that's something that Screen Sanity that I follow a lot along with their model of, they've got to show responsibility before you just hand them over. Just like like a driver's license. You're not going to throw them the keys the first day that they turn 16. They've got to work up to that. And so, throwing them a smartphone and just saying, have fun. They can't handle that. It's too much, but they don't know that. They have no idea that it's too much because they want all of that, but they don't realize how heavy it ends up being. And so, we have to sort of intervene and be the parents and the adults and help them through that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard. I mean, it's not easy.
It is.
Finding that balance hard. I would love for somebody that's figured it out to tell me, like, I think we as parents, it's like, well, I don't want to be the helicopter parent, so I'm just going to completely withdraw, or I'm the helicopter parent and no identity or, independence or whatever. But finding that healthy balance, it's hard.
It is
really hard.
Well, and I think you have to also know your kid and know like what they can handle, what they can't, where the boundaries need to be. I'll never forget. I had a client. This was way before. I think I had kids, but they were itty bitty. And one of my teenage clients was like, "Don't ever give your kid Snapchat." And I was like, "Noted." I said, "Okay."
Yeah.
She was like, "My mom gave me Snapchat when I turned 12 and I really wanted it, and now I have it. So I don't want to get rid of it, but it was too much. Like I don't have any business being on here." But I mean, now she's like in it. And so that just becomes, that becomes the culture. Like kids have Snapchat.
And they'll tell you, it's not good for me. It's not like it's part of my problem. It's whatever. Okay. Well, why don't you take a break from it? Oh, what?
But my streak, I got to keep my streak going.
Right. But I have too many streaks. Like,
yeah.
What?
Yes. Right. Yeah. So if we as the adults step in and just kind of like make it not an option, or like these are your boundaries and blame your parents. Yeah. Right. I mean, I think it's important for parents to hear that piece. Like, I mean, this story depicts something to an extreme, but I want people to also understand that there's a lot of normalcy like that. I mean, and you can speak to that. Like you saw these kinds of things in the school system. This is happening. This is happening in our backyard, down the street. These kids are not always nice to each other. And social media is an easy place to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, you would see, speaking to the parent side of things, like you got to remember, like these kids are incapable of making like wise decisions right now. Yeah. I don't mean like in everything, but they don't know what they don't know. Like we are the adults here. We know that this is not good for them, but I mean, the amount of cyberbullying, and I know that's kind of like a buzzword, whatever, but I mean, kids literally create these anonymous accounts just to, I mean, there was one at the school that was like, I think it was called Little Miss, and this account, anonymous, nobody knew where it originated. And I mean, like once you get legal involved, they can kind of trace the IP and blah, 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 blah. But initially, it's like, Little Miss Positivity, Little Miss this, and then it turns into Little Miss Whore and Little Miss, Boyfriend Stealer and Little Miss Go KYS, and and it's like it, and I mean, I don't know how many kids I would have in my office. Like I was on Little Miss this week, or I was on, like the whatever of the school. And, and they were saying these things about me that aren't true. And it's like, ugh,
So
awful.
how did you handle that? What did you do?
Got really angry, but no, I mean, I'm really protective. But I mean, it's a lot of the whole, like, other kind of going back to the message of, like, other people don't get to tell you who you are. What do you know to be true? What do you, and people are freaking mean,
They're mean.
Some people are just mean. And, there were times that I would go get our SRO or legal involved because I'm like, this is too far. This is too much. I mean, any of it's too much, but some of it would just.
But there's some scary lines being crossed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But it's awful. I have to sit with these kids and go, yeah, gosh, that would hurt. That I get it. Like that feels really gross and really, like, obviously really personal.
Yeah.
And we're not going to give them that power. That's not who you are. That's not, but to tell that to a 13, 14-year-old, they're like,
yeah,
they already have the power. What do you mean I'm not giving it? Like, they started with the power, it's like, ugh.
Yeah. Right. Did you get a sense with some of these students that you would see that they felt like they couldn't talk to their parents about what they were seeing on social media? Okay.
And that was really, I mean, anything, all in both ends of the spectrum and everything in between, because my parents are too involved and they're going to get really, really, nervous and probably take this too far. Okay. Or my parents don't care anyways, like they, my mom's never home. She doesn't care, but then some of it was just like, my mom doesn't get it, or my parents don't get it, or, my parents just tell me, like, it's okay, like, just, you tell them not to talk to you that way, or, whatever. Yeah. And it's, because we, as parents, I find myself I'm a therapist, and I find myself a lot of times, like, I don't know what to say right now. Like, I just want to hug,
yes.
Right. And, and so it's like, I get where parents are, but it's like, we gotta be able to open some lines of communication somehow. And I think at this age, when kids are in that push pull, I love you, I hate you, like, I hate you, don't leave me, whatever. Yeah. And sometimes they want to tell you everything, and they want to just, like, but then sometimes when you circle back and go, so how's that thing you were telling me about last week? What are you talking about? I don't, and so, like, parents are like,
fine. It's fine.
Right. It's fine. Yeah. It's fine. What do you mean? It's why are you asking?
Right.
And so I think a lot of us as parents then just kind of go, okay, I'm going to let them come to me when they need me. And it's like, they're not going to tell you when they need you. Like, a lot of times.
Right. Well, and some of that is just, like, being connected to your kids, even when it's, like, not around the hard stuff, like just doing normal everyday things. So that can, not always, but that can at least open up opportunity for dialogue, for conversation. But even going back to what we were saying with the phones, if you're checking their phone and that's the expectation that you set, sometimes they don't have to tell you. Sometimes you just see it, and then you as the adult can open the door. Because I think that can very well be true. And I think about my teenage clients that I've had over the years. Like, a lot of times they would be willing to share something really hard for their parent if I, like, helped them, right? Either they did it in session with me, or I helped them script it out. Sometimes they just don't even know how to bring it up or what words to say because they're so nervous about their parent's response or whatever, right? Like the unknown, which, I mean, I can identify with that. I have to script things out all the time.
Yeah.
When it's a hard conversation.
Yeah.
So even just, like, helping them to feel empowered on how to have those conversations. But sometimes we as the adults have to open that door and just like start it. Yeah. Even though
I mean, a lot of kids are like, my parents are already going through enough. They already have enough on their plate, and so that's where it's like, parents, please, and and I mean, I'm certainly not judging any parents because it's hard.
It's hard. So hard.
It's so freaking hard.
Yeah.
But just even the littlest things of, I, like you said, like having conversations, even when it's not about the hard or the heavy stuff, but what was your good thing today? What was your hard thing today? What was your rose or your thorn, or, just to kind of keep the conversation going of being able to talk about what was great about my day and what kind of sucked about my day, so that when it's really sucky or really good, they want to tell you about it.
Right, right. Well, and I tell parents that are maybe a few steps behind me, like especially like I learned in middle school that these middle schoolers have a lot of places they want to go and be doing, but they can't get there themselves.
Right.
So be the driver. You just volunteer to be the driver with their friends, and
listen.
you turn the radio down and you listen. Yeah.
Yes.
That's, and not to say that like, then you have to talk about, but you get information. And I think the kids appreciate that. They'll never admit it probably, but I think they also appreciate that, okay, you're willing to take me to these crazy things that, you know, I know you're busy, but yet you're still taking me to a 7th grade B volleyball game. Right. Like something like so low stakes, but very important to them, like very, very important to them. And that I think means something to them. Again, you're just being there, like just being present.
Just being present,
and so and we'll talk a little bit more about like the family dynamics. I think there's a lot there to unpack too.
For sure.
In episode 4. But so real quick, what's talking about like the detective Bascom and his son, because they did show a little bit more of their relationship in episode 2, because Bascom goes to interview kids and then comes across his son while he's there. So like what were your thoughts about that? About their relationship?
With the son, I mean, you know, it was my initial thoughts were just that this poor kid just wants to connect, you know, like he just wants he wants his dad to see him for who he is, for how different he is than dad. And then kind of the same thing of like dad kind of wanting that too. And dad kind of desperately searching for how to connect. But never really saying anything. I was really proud of how it ended, you know, that he made a point, but
I agree.
But again, like I think we as parents kind of shy away from the awkward or the uncomfortable, and like we don't know how to say it, so we don't say it. And I'm guilty too, you know, but but then, you know, it's like, but they're not going to say it. Like, can we acknowledge like, hey, I want to connect with you. I want to like, I get we're different. I get we have different strengths. We have different, you know, whatever, but let's go. What do you want to do? Let's go get Chinese or whatever it is they end up doing at the end, you know?
Right. Yeah. Well, and even when he asks his son, like, does this stuff happen to you? Like the bullying. And he was like, yeah. Like that was a dumb question. You know, of course it does. Of course it does. And, you know, it's almost, I mean, he doesn't seem shocked, but just even the fact that he asked that question, he, you know, I mean, I think there's an element of like, maybe he's not as tuned in to that side of things as a parent. Maybe could be. Yeah. So they talk about, or Bascom talks about in the first episode, how he's like the easier parent, like, and his wife is a little bit harder. So I thought that was also interesting. So when you see the dynamic between the father and son, knowing that the dad is the one that's a little bit more of a pushover, but they still don't have the best connection. I think that can speak to parents too. Like, even if you're permitting them to like stay home from school or go do this or go do that, that doesn't necessarily make a connection happen between your kids. There's more to that than just saying yes all the time.
Yeah. Right. And it's like, you know, then you kind of realize like, oh, that was his way of kind of trying to connect or trying to like be in with the son, you know?
Yes. Yeah. But it didn't really land, I think, the way that he wanted it to or thought it could. And then, like the way it ends is really beautiful. And I think is a testament to just like small things. So, like he just pulled him out. Yeah. And let's go get something to eat. Yeah. So easy. Okay. Anything else on episode 2?
I remember at the very end, when I don't remember how, like after they got in the car to go get Chinese or something, it panned to something else. And like my first thought was like fragile. Like this age is just fragile, like super fragile. And in so many ways. And it was really neat because for some reason the subtitles were on. And like as I wrote the word fragile, the ending song came on, and it said the song playing is called Fragile. And I was like, how, you know, like it's so true, you know, like that's just sums up this age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I liked the way that they panned out because it also shows the community in a way, the way that they made that shot, right? And how close, right, where the school is to where the incident happened. And I thought that was also interesting, just to kind of get an idea of what the community looked like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Episode 3. This was my favorite episode. I mean, favorite, I don't know. That feels weird to say, but
it was a good one.
I think I felt most connected, maybe is what I should say, to this episode, because I definitely could see myself in it. So episode 3, the psychologist interview, this was by far, like, for me, I just felt really connected, I think, to this whole episode. And it was, oh gosh, so interesting. Okay, so I don't know, where do you want to start with this episode? What did you think of it? Just what were your first impressions?
So many thoughts. I mean, I think just her ability to sit there, and I'm sure, like, with your background in juvenile justice, like, just having to sit there in kind of that tension and that fear of what's going to happen, and then him kind of flipping, and when it first started, I was like, did I miss an episode here? Because
I felt the same way. Like, who is this person?
It's like, we know her. Like, where? What?
Yes.
And
yeah.
But then I realized, okay, we're just kind of catching up. But the dynamic initially was really sweet, and just talking through the cheese pickle sandwich, and whatever. But then him kind of getting to that place of, like, okay, now you're going to therapize me. Like, no, we're not. And
right.
And the way she reframed things, I think you said just in our talk back and forth before, just around like how she reframed we're just having a conversation. And but him, like, you could tell he was like, there's nothing wrong with my dad. Why are we talking about my dad? My dad's fine. He's super defensive around dad. And which made you kind of go, well, what has dad done?
Right.
Why are we very emphatic that dad is fine?
Yeah. Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I liked, like, the beginning showing the rapport building, because rapport building with teenagers is so different compared to rapport building with clients that are adults. Like, you do talk about the cheese and pickle sandwich. Like, that's what you do. Right. You talk about that, and you talk about hot cocoa. And I mean, you talk about things that on TikTok, the surface seem super random, but it's all therapeutic.
Right.
I promise.
It's all for a reason.
All therapeutic. Because I think that's been one of the things working with teenagers that I know parents have accused me of, like, why are y'all playing Uno every time? I'm like, well, when we play Uno, we also talk about stuff, like, we play a couple games of Uno and then we're opening up about things. I promise you. Because that was always what I did when I would see my juvenile justice clients. It was always Uno. That's what they wanted to do. I was fine with that, as long as you'll talk to me.
And they do open up.
Play.
Yeah. They will.
I will play as many games of Uno as long as you continue to talk. And that was
I had a kid that taught me to play poker, and I was like, sure, teach me. Like, let's do it. And then he would talk as we played poker. He would say all the things. Like, okay,
absolutely.
Great.
Yes. Yeah. So I really liked that they showed that part of the rapport building. But and then like, he then accuses her of tricking him, right? And that's sort of where things escalate a little bit in the conversation. You start to feel that tension. I mean, like what you were just saying, like, she did a really good job of reframing, which, therapists, that's a lot of our job, is reframing things. But what did you think of, like, him accusing her of that? Like, what was what were your thoughts about it? Has that ever happened to you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Same. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's so, like, it speaks to, kids aren't dumb.
No. Right.
And, so just, I don't know how many kids would, miss, I know what you're doing, okay, well then, if you know what I'm doing, just tell me.
Right.
Let's just talk.
Let's just talk then. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and obviously she kind of was able to get things back to a place where he did end up opening up, even more so than I think she anticipated.
Right.
But again, it just speaks to just this age. Like any emotion I feel is anger. Anything I feel is gonna look like anger. And so, he feels ashamed. He's angry. He feels remorseful. He's angry. He feels threatened. He's angry. And obviously she knows that, and she holds that well, with the way that he responded to her at different points. But it's just fascinating how kids are so smart and yet so oblivious.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like you're speaking to, like, the emotional immaturity, right? I mean, and we can't expect them to be emotionally mature.
Right.
Their brains are not developed. They don't know how to do that. So anything is going to look like anger, but there's way more to that. Yeah. Like you said, I mean, why are you getting defensive? We're thinking, why are you getting defensive about dad? What is it with dad for him to have that response? It's not just, he doesn't want to talk about that.
Right.
There's a reason he doesn't want to talk about that.
Right.
There's more to it. Yeah. No, that's really good. And I also liked when she said, what you think is more important than what is true. Oh, it's like, my gosh, that's it right there. Like, I loved that. I loved the way that she said that.
Yes. Because perspective is reality, right? I mean, I remember somebody that I worked with years ago said that all the time. And I was like, ugh, perspective is reality, but I mean, it's so true, what truth, obviously there is the truth. Like, clearly we saw the video, you did this, but but your thoughts around this right now are more important to me. Like, I don't care about what's true. I don't care about what's real. I care about what you think. And so super powerful.
Yeah. Well, and what you think about your dad, or what you think about masculinity, or what, I want to know what you think about those things, because that is what became true to you. And that's maybe what impacted all of this stuff that's happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I thought that was really powerful, just how she said that. And I hope people heard that, I think, because I mean, I think that part is so important for our mental health to recognize, because it does impact us. What we think impacts our mental health so deeply. And it's so easy to minimize that, right? Like, just to think, well, but that's not true. It's so what?
It doesn't matter.
If you think it still has an effect on you.
Tell my mind that, but it isn't true. But it
feels true.
The whole core values, but I can give you evidence for it. I can tell you why it's true to me. So it, what is true doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So what was your takeaway from, like, just the rapport between them, and, like, the attachment even that Jamie seemed to have to the psychologist towards the end of that episode?
Yeah. Oh gosh, that was so hard to watch, because I was sitting there thinking, like, the people pleaser, codependent, whatever in me would want to go, like, I think you're an amazing human being. I
think you're great. Yeah.
I think you're a great person, and a good person who made a bad choice, or, I feel like I would need to say something, and just for her to sit there and, I know. Like, I was like, say something, just, give him something.
Make him feel okay.
Because, I mean, he was so hungry for that validation and for just like, tell me I'm okay. Tell me I'm not a horrible human being.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and just to even, like, that whole episode, the ups and downs of, their relationship, and, I mean, it was very tense, and then she ended it because it was time to end it. And he was like, wait, what? I don't want it to be over. Like, because when I go back to whenever I was working with the adolescents in jail, they were like, do I have to go back? I don't want to go back. Can we talk about something else? I mean, like, they wanted that to be as long as possible, and then they would, like, can you send a message to my mom? Can you ask her? I mean, they're so starved, I think, for connection. And when we think about that kind of an environment, there's probably not great connections if they're making any.
Yeah.
And so, I think that was just such a picture of what he was needing, what it was missing for him. And he was looking to her to fulfill that. And what a hard position for her to be in, because you can't. Yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah. I know. It was, oh man, it's hard though.
Yeah. All right. What else about episode 3 that stood out to you?
Yeah. Just seeing how self-conscious he was and how hungry he was for, don't you like me? Like,
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because we didn't see him in episode 2 at all. So we see him in episode 1, he gets arrested. We don't see him at all in episode 2. Then we get episode 3. And so for me, I also kept like going back and forth with thinking he was still in that innocence, right, that we saw in episode 1. And so then when he had that outburst, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
What is going on? And so like I started thinking, is that something that was present for him, like that anger, that temper before he was arrested? Did some of that start happening because he's been detained? You know, like has this experience changed him on some level? Like, I don't know. I thought that was really interesting to see the difference in his personality and how he was presenting in episode 3 in comparison to episode 1.
Well, it did make me think, because remember in episode 1, when they were asking him about his grades, and Bascom said something about, but you've had some behavior issues lately. And, and that's typical of this age to kind of like start testing boundaries and all of the things and kind of becoming an apparent. They also said something about him kind of being out on the streets at all hours of the night and, whatever. Which I'm like, parents, what are you doing? But so when he did have that kind of break, it was like, okay, I feel like that's always been in there. I feel like that's probably kind of his, he met his threshold, and that's probably, this probably isn't the first time he's met that threshold. And, like him talking about dad. Well, one time he tore the thing in the backyard. He tore this thing down one time and he got mad. A shed.
Yeah.
One time he tore a shed down. And it's like, he's seen that anger and kind of that like explosive reaction. So, I feel like he was probably capable of it, and probably not the first time it had happened, but it in a setting like this, it's like, oh, whoa,
Yeah.
And for him, and when he said, that's not why I did it. Like somehow he said I did it. And then he was like, I didn't say that. And he got really mad. And, just kind of watching him squirm in that, but also be really angry about it is, kind of holding that like little boy, but also just really angry, big emotions was really fascinating.
Yeah. Well, and again, goes back to like that is adolescence, right? I mean, their emotions are all over the place.
So big.
And things that you didn't maybe think they were capable of, they are, right? Like, or the feelings that you didn't think they might be experiencing, they probably are experiencing them. And so kind of just opening up our minds to the capability at this age. It's scary, but we just need to know. Like, we just need to be aware of that and know that, parents, so that we can show up the way that maybe they need us to, or just be aware of it. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Episode 4. So this is the last episode. I thought this one was really different, right?
Yes. So different.
Yeah. So what were your first impressions, first thoughts?
Oh gosh. Like when, in the kitchen, it was sweet to see the intimacy, them, him really trying to connect with her. And,
the dad and the mom, like in a very normal sort of morning, right? It's dad's birthday. Yeah. She's making him breakfast. Super normal
stuff. Yeah. And them, I don't remember who said it first, but them saying, we're going to solve the problem of today. And like, clearly they had been doing therapy. And so like, we're going to solve the problem of today. And it kind of like them almost reminding themselves and convincing themselves, we're going to stay here in the present. We're going to reclaim our normalcy. We're going to reclaim life. And, we're going to solve the problem of today. And so I thought that was really neat. And I was encouraged, like clearly they've been doing therapy. And so,
right. Yes.
It's like, that's not the norm, that's not everybody's go-to. And, so I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked that. Well, and when I think back to working with juvenile justice, a lot of times that was the first time families got connected to mental health services, which is so sad. Like, I mean, some of them were not crazy about me being around, but some of them were like, yeah, how can you come every day? Can I get therapy from you? And I'm like, well, I can do it with you. We can do a family, but I cannot be your therapist, but they were just so hungry for the support and the help, and they knew that they need it, but they didn't have access to it in any other sort of way. So some of them were so thankful for it.
Yeah.
I thought the way that they did that episode, I think you could see any family in that episode. Like, it's so normal. And I think they did that on purpose. I think they wanted people to see, like, this literally could happen to anybody. These are very normal people. The grief, oh my gosh, the grief in that episode, like the layers of grief. Again, why Dad won an Emmy because that last scene of that last episode, holy cow.
Gosh,
I mean, I could not keep it together.
It wrecked me.
And I'm not a crier at things like that, but I was, it
tore me up. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it shows a real side of things like this happening in a family. How, oh my gosh, so grief stricken, like, devastating. Yeah. So devastating. So what did you think of the family relationships? Because, I mean, we really got to see, like, mom, dad, sister, their relationship separate from Jamie's. What were your thoughts about the dynamic there?
I saw the mom, kind of doing the strong mom thing, like I gotta make sure that I can keep it together to support him and, to support dad and to support daughter. And, at one point I just wanted to be like, Mom, just tell her it's hard for you too, like,
right.
And I mean, the daughter, the sister, just her, even her saying like, we're not going to move because this is going to follow us, like we can't get away from this. But, just her also, you could see like the kind of how she kind of lit up when he was like, let's go to the movies or whatever he called it, and, the pictures. Yeah. Let's go to the pictures. And she kind of lit up like, okay, we're going to do something normal. And she went and got dressed and she came back and, you can tell she's just used to kind of rolling with whatever happens. And, but it's like, has she been given space to just kind of come undone and to be mad, be sad, be, like, and, one would hope like in the real world that there, she would also get, some support and some services and everything, but we didn't see that. And so it's just like, please tell me somebody's caring for her, please tell me somebody's like, and mom was great about, being very loving towards her, but mom also was very avoidant of like the issue with like, hello, the elephant in the room is, my brother killed someone,
Yeah. Right.
And now we're all living very different lives because of it.
Yeah. Well, and I could see definitely her stepping into a parental role during some of that episode, right? Like worrying about dad in the van and, like making sure everybody was okay, which I think when I think about a family dynamic, when there maybe is one child that is having a harder time or is needing a little bit more of those emotional resources, then, maybe one of the other children or the other children in that family step into a more parental role, whether that's I'm going to be small, right? So that I don't have any needs. And so that mom and dad can focus in on this other kid, or I'm just going to take care of myself, right? Like I'll just be another parent because I that's what I know I can do. And I think that can be such a normal thing when there's hardship in a family. So that stood out to me as well. Because I'd almost, I mean, it did. In some scenes, it felt like she was another parent, another adult.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I did feel for her.
How would you say this episode, because it was different, related to the whole storyline? Like, and it's kind of wrapped things up in a way.
There was part of me that was like, that feels a little disjointed, but I think in a lot of ways, it did kind of give a foundation, like a backstory, I guess, in a lot of ways. And, you know, where a lot of times you get the backstory before the murder happens, you know, here they kind of wrapped it up with the backstory. And it's like, okay, like you said, like they're a normal family. Like, wow, these are, and Dad said at one point, yeah, like him and Mom were talking and he said something about like the time that he spent in his room. And like one of them said, you know, like what could he have possibly been doing? Which I was like, hello, what?
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
But, you know, they're like, I mean, he's not out running the streets. He's just in his room. And I'm like, oh Lord. But, you know, but them just kind of reflecting on what any of us as parents would reflect, you know, like, where did we take a wrong turn? Where did we not show up? Where could we have done something differently? You know, and them even saying, even looking at the daughter and saying, we made her too. How do we do that? You know?
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
Right. We made her the same way.
Right. Yeah. And just like you said, like being able to see any of us in that. And, just kind of, I love seeing them in the van on the way to the Home Depot or whatever, you know, just like reminiscing. And what I found fascinating was that he shared a story that was him at the age of Jamie. Right. And, you know, just how my thought was going back to, what a simpler time it was when cutting up and doing silly dances was what 13-year-olds did, you know, but now there's so much pressure to be grown and to be more, you know, like more grown up and mature and all of these things to where, you know, Dad did have a hard time connecting with Jamie in a lot of ways. And, I mean, it was just, I feel like every piece of that episode was like, I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard some of this from kids. I've heard some of this from parents. I see this in myself, you know, like it was
same.
Very relatable. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then, I mean, even seeing the dad's anger outbursts, I think like as hard as it was, I also was like, I mean, I would be very mad too. I don't know if I would do all that, but I mean, I could see like almost like justifying it. I get it. I know why you're screaming and throwing things. And I don't know, like even that part I could identify with. That was very relatable. You know, your anger and why you're expressing it this way. I get it.
Yeah.
But also shows back to episode 3, like, but is this what Jamie kept seeing? This outlet of anger? Is this what it always looked like?
Right. Yeah. But it also, the point where Jamie had said with the psychologist about, you know, Dad would look away or something when I played football. And then Dad bringing it up and saying like, I just couldn't, I don't remember how he worded it, but, you know, they both acknowledged that Dad was kind of ashamed of him in some way. And, you know, it's like how much it clearly impacted Jamie so in such a big way. And then for Dad later to be able to identify that and carry that, you know, it just takes me back to the whole, like, say the things, you know, like, it's all right that you don't love soccer like I love soccer. Like, what do you love? You know, instead of letting it become this unspoken shame that is just like a cancer in the family, you know?
Right. Well, and they talked about like, you know, they got him the computer because that's what he wanted. And, you know, like you said, he was just in his room all the time. And I think, you know, when we think back to when we were growing up, that like parents maybe wouldn't have to worry about that.
Right. Right.
But
what could I get into? Yeah.
Exactly. But that is where we need to be worrying, is what do they have access to? You know, what are they doing behind those closed doors if they have access to that kind of technology? And even thinking too to what the dad was saying towards the end, saying, my dad used to beat me and I didn't do that. Right. Like, I think too, you know, we look at the comparison and think, well, I'm doing better than my parents, which, yeah, sure. I think, you know, as parents as a whole, I think that's our goal, is we want to do better than our parents. And just because you're not beating your kid, that maybe there's a little bit more we can do. That's not just check, I'm a good parent.
Right. See, he had it so much better than me. Yeah.
And I've heard that from parents. Like,
oh yeah,
I went through all of these traumas and I did this and this and this and I don't do any of that. It's like, okay, well, that's a great start.
Right. Let's start there.
We have to connect. And I don't know. I think that this element of connection with this generation of teenagers is so much more important. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's a bigger statement, right? Because they want connection, but they're looking for it in different ways, and maybe don't want that connection. Again, it's just like we need to be available for them to connect to us rather than these other things, because they're gonna connect with something, somehow, some way.
They will connect. Yes,
they will do it. They will find a way. Anything else about episode 4?
Let's see. Like you said before, that end where he says, "I'm sorry, son," to the little stuffed animal, and it's just, ugh. And I mean, just kind of bringing it back to the innocence of Jamie. You know, like he's still got his teddy bear. You know,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine being in that house after all of that. And like, I think even the mom said something, I went in his room the other day, you know, I mean, like they just probably keep that door shut as much as possible. Yeah. Because of what it resembles, what it, you know, what it's connected to. God, that's, I can't imagine.
I mean, just, can you imagine the pit in your, you know, to pass that room every day and, you know that the door is shut for a reason, you know, because there's something in there that I don't want to deal with right now, you know? Yeah. Just,
yeah, I know. So hard. What did you think about like the series as a whole? They didn't talk a lot about the victim's family. I mean, we see a picture of her. We kind of know a little bit about like her dynamic with Jamie. I don't know. Did you have any thoughts about that?
You know, I didn't even really think about that much, but you're right. They didn't kind of personify her really outside of kind of being a bully, you know? But that is interesting that we didn't get a better picture of, you know, it would also be interesting, like, what was she going through? What had happened to her for her to be so mean to him, you know?
Right.
Because those things don't just come out of nowhere.
Exactly. Well, and I think seeing like who her best friend and the impact, you know, in that school episode, right? Like, I mean, just even seeing how it impacted her, I was like, oh God, like again, the ripple effect of something like this, you know, and how angry, I mean, again, that's grief, but she's angry and she's punching people now. But because that's what teenagers do. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that was the only, like, I feel like that's when I felt closest to the victim, was just seeing how her friend was processing it and hearing what she was saying about her friend. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that the episode or the series was more about Jamie, Jamie's story and all of that. But yeah, they didn't really talk a lot about her. Yeah.
It was interesting with the best friend. You know, it was neat how they kind of like sent the message that like this girl's also going through a lot, you know, because the way that she said, like she was the only person that, you know, like, and when the teacher said, why don't you go to her house? And she said that you know, basically I wouldn't be welcome there. And like, it sounded like her in her own personal life had so much going on that this was her one person that her one connection, like her one person who saw her for who she was and really, you know, appreciated who she was. And so it was just really interesting how they kind of obviously told us that, but then, that's not the focus of this, but all of the kids. And I mean, even the kid who got arrested for the knife thing, like hearing him say, when him and Tommy were talking and Tommy said, "Oh, my parents were really upset. And what about yours?" And he said, "Oh, they didn't care, Yeah. And so, I mean, just the differences in how, again, just seeing how all these different, I can see like, oh yeah, I remember that kid who was just kind of like, parents were like, whatever. And then this other kid, just kind of seeing the different dynamics and family dynamics and all of that kind of play out in the different episodes. Or in that episode specifically.
Yeah.
It was very neat.
Well, and going back to the best friend too, like how she, she's also trying to make her emotions smaller because she doesn't want to burden her mom. Like her mom's, don't call my mom. She's going to be mad at me if she has to leave the hospital again. I mean, just, I think that's the bottom line when I think about this episode. It showed so many different versions of teenagers and they're all hard. Every single one of those kids in there, if you took, I mean, you could do a whole series on each one of those kids and it would be impactful because there's so much reality to that and it's all hard and there's so many layers.
Yes. Which makes me think, totally an aside, but have you seen Win or Lose? I think it's on Disney.
No. What is that?
It's animated, but it takes this same snippet of time of like a softball team. And the whole series goes through each character and like each episode is the same snippet of time, but for different characters. And it is, and I mean, a total mental health, the therapist, like the kids and I watched it because it is animated. It's very, benign, but, just how, you can tell that one kid's dealing with shame, one kid's dealing with isolation, one kid's dealing with family issues, and how they all show up on this one field and how it all, but it's really good.
Oh, I like that. Okay. Yeah. Cool. I'll have to check that out. Okay. Anything else on the show before I ask self-care related questions?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure we could talk forever, but
I know, for real. Okay, I want to ask, and you even included this in your form, so I want to make sure we address it. But first, like, based on your experience with teenagers in the various capacities that you experience teenagers, which is the gamut of things, what do you recommend for teenagers and their parents to do to take care of that relationship with one another well?
I mean, I think just like I was saying earlier, like communicate, like just open the door for communication, ask questions, even though it's uncomfortable. Like broach the hard topics. Yeah, we're going to get shut down. We're going to, but and again, like I said, I would love to hear from anyone who has found the magic of the balance, but just erring on the side of being more available and erring on the side of being more involved, not a helicopter, but
there's a difference. Okay. Yeah. What's the difference? What's the difference between being involved and being a helicopter parent?
That's a good question. Think? Oh, well, I mean, being involved, being interested, being involved, being, invested, and not controlling.
Yeah, it's the control piece that makes you a helicopter. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I think expectations, right? Like, good grades is what defines you. And if you don't get a good grade, then there's shame, right? Like, I mean, And then what does that do to the connection?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. When the connection is about something else,
not
than connection,
not the person,
than just sheer connection. Yeah.
Person first. That's what we learned in grad school, right?
That's right. Person first. I hadn't heard that in a while. That's good.
Okay. One thing that I think also pertains to this, like parents, kids taking care of their relationship well, is you said, make the call, get support. And therapy, and you also said therapy is not just for people that have a specific diagnosis or any diagnosis for that matter.
Right.
And I think this show is a perfect example of that. Like, again, the parents I mean, I don't know. Dad has anger problems. Maybe mom's a people pleaser. I don't know. But like, they don't have anything that's, obvious in the mental health space. Yet they still need the support. They still needed therapy before this whole thing happened.
Yeah.
And so, to what you said in your form, to remind you, is even if you don't have a diagnosis, therapy is for everybody. And make the call, get support, do the thing.
Yeah. I mean, I talk to so many, or I have talked to so many families. And I remember a family that I spoke to last year when I was at the middle school around, we're just not there yet. We're not there yet. And I'm like, well, what is there yet? What I'm calling you. So you're somewhere, for me to be calling you means
maybe
that
you need to be there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, well, when I won't hesitate to pursue therapy when we are at that point. And I'm like, okay, like your child is screaming. We are at that point, and not a mental health diagnosis, not a, not a blatant outward,
we're not in crisis yet.
Right. Yeah. There's no neon sign yet, but you're going to be, and sure enough, a couple weeks later they were, but don't be afraid to be preemptive. Yeah.
Well, and it's so much, I don't know, like when I have clients that come in that aren't in crisis, the work we can do, not, again, we can be productive in crisis, but like we got to, stop the bleeding first.
Yeah. Right.
If and that we're in crisis. So like there's other things that we have to focus on, but going to therapy or getting your kid in therapy before crisis, a lot can happen. A lot can be addressed that will, like you're saying, prevent a crisis because now they have the tools. They notice the things. They can do something about it before it lands there.
Yes. Gosh. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you get anything out of that episode, that's it right there.
That's right. Please.
Okay, Ruth, how do you take care of yourself well? What do you do for self-care?
That is always such a hard question. I would love to say like, I run, I wish I was a runner, but I don't like, I think anything, just getting outside and getting some vitamin D is good for me. But, I did, and I do know I put this on the form. I do, try and get up earlier than my kids, which is always a crapshoot because one of my kids is up ridiculously early sometimes.
Who gets up early?
Gus. He's like,
really? He's a morning person.
He senses that I'm awake, and
okay.
But he's definitely a morning person. Yes. All three of the other ones could sleep till Winnie will sleep till 9. She's 5. But, the teenagers, they'll sleep
for sure
all day. But I try and get up at least 30 minutes earlier. Just to sit and, have my coffee. I read my Bible. I, just kind of have some time to just
before the chaos.
And the kids know before the chaos. And the kids know Mom's doing quiet time, like on the weekends when they are awake, I'll say, I'm going to go have quiet time. And they know, like, we're going to leave her alone.
Yeah.
It doesn't always happen, but I try and do that just to kind of get myself kind of settled before the chaos.
Yeah.
But I mean, outside of that, I need a hobby.
I don't have time for a hobby. I don't have time for a hobby.
I don't know, but I feel like how do you take care of yourself? I need to know.
I mean, I feel like I honestly was better at it than I am now because I mean, I run my kids around more. Yeah. They have their own. I mean, I think when your kids start to have their own lives, it impacts your life. So my life, right? I mean, like they want to be places and they have things. They do have places to be, and I get that, and I want to support that. But man. I mean, I need to move my body. I can tell, like my body tells me if it hasn't moved, Yeah. So I don't even like to run. I run because it seems most efficient for my body to feel good. But I think as I've gotten older, if I walk, that's good enough. So like I can usually fit that in, like when the kids are at soccer practice, I can fit that a little bit fit that in a little bit easier than the other. So, I mean, I think that's been the challenge for me is like, how can I fit it in? Like, because it's got to look different now and being flexible with how it looks. So I know I need to move my body and being outside for sure. Like I definitely need sunshine.
Yes. As long as I can get outside for sure.
Yeah. But I love that your kids know, like, okay, mom's got her time. Like, leave her alone. I think that's good for parents to hear though. Like, just tell them it's just 30 minutes. They're going to be fine.
Right. They'll be okay.
They're going to survive. Yeah.
They know how to find me. If there's blood, they know what to do, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it was a game changer when my kids could like make their own Eggo waffles, right? Just put it in the toaster and leave.
It's a game changer when they can turn the TV on by themselves. They wake up and they can go turn their cartoons on. Like,
right. That's true. Very true. You don't have to come wake me up for that. Yeah. Okay. All right, Ruth. Well, anything else that we didn't cover that you wanted to cover that you want people to know about you or your thoughts about the show?
I don't think so, but this is fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being on. So I joked, but I don't know if I'm totally joking. Did you watch that Unknown Number?
I have not, but now I'm intrigued.
Holy smokes. Yes. Yeah, I think, if you'll come back and we can dive into that one because that was bananas.
Well, our 15-year-old was telling me about it and just hearing even her perspective on it was just so like, very
my
insightful.
14-year-old, same thing. Yeah, no, because he hasn't even watched it, but they're talking about it at school, which I thought was so funny. Yeah. Because I was watching it and he was like, oh, I heard about the show. And then he like went into and I was like, oh, okay. Like kids are watching it. They know what's going on. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, Paisley told me, she was like, you would like this. You need to watch it. Like, I don't know. It's very disturbing, but.
It is very disturbing. I mean, Jason was watching it and we got like all the way, I think we had 20 minutes left and I don't know, one of the kids needed me to do something, so I turned it off. And I was like, well, I'm going to watch the rest of it. Do you want to watch it? He was like, no, I'm not watching it. I was like, you're not going to watch the last 20 minutes? And he was like, absolutely not. Humans are terrible. I feel terrible about humanity. I cannot. I'm done. I can't. I'm out.
I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. As we wrap up today's episode, I really hope that whether you've watched Adolescence or not, and just decided to rely on our recap, you're able to appreciate the way media like this can help us develop empathy and consider perspectives we might not otherwise think about. Empathy doesn't mean we have to agree with someone's actions or feelings. It means we're willing to acknowledge their human experience, to see the emotion behind the behavior, the context behind the choices. This series does an incredible job of showing just how layered and complex the human experience can be, especially in the face of tragedy and trauma. If you're a parent listening, I hope this conversation encourages you to take intentional steps to open lines of communication with your kids at any age. That connection doesn't have to be deep and serious every time. It can be small moments, simple check-ins, quiet presence. Let them know that you're there. If you're not a parent, let this episode serve as a reminder that people, especially teens, are navigating things we may not see at the surface. It's easy to judge, but real understanding comes when we take the time to look beyond the cover. And gosh, if you're a teenager listening, I just want to say, I see you. I know it takes an incredible amount of courage to be out in the world today. I truly wish things were easier. But I hope this show and conversations like this one remind you that you are not alone. There are people out here who care deeply and are working to make the world better for you. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for listening. And again, if you haven't checked out this series and this has sparked your interest, I highly, highly recommend it. And maybe even if you have watched it already, maybe give it a rewatch after listening to this episode because you might find that parts of this series resonate with you in a different way after listening to this episode. And as always, let's take care of ourselves and one another well. The information included in this podcast does not replace that of your own professional therapy. If you believe you are in need of professional assistance, please reach out to the medical community in your area. The Couch Next Door with Candace Frazier was created by me, Candace Frazier, graphics by Jason Frazier, music by Josh Bissell. You can find the show notes and affiliate links on CandaceFrazierLPC.com. Click on the tab Podcast and you'll find all podcast-related content there. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram. Find me at Candace Frazier LPC. Give the show a rating or review wherever you listen to podcasts. This really helps get the show to more listeners in the world, and I would be so grateful to see what you all are loving. Until next time, show kindness to yourself and those around you.